Welcome to this explainer. Look, we have all lived through the absolute chaos of a bad hire, right? You know the feeling, that sudden sinking realization that a new team member just isn't a fit, the wasted resources and the sheer frustration of having to start the entire exhausting process all over again. Well, today we are going to fix that. We're going to take what usually looks like a dry 15-step operational checklist and transform it into a fascinating, seamless journey of a single job opening. Our focus here is to really nail down the overall concept of talent acquisition, backed up with clear examples and practical explanations. So whether you're an HR pro trying to optimize your pipeline or a manager striving to build a stellar team, understanding these deep mechanics is absolutely vital. We're going to follow the complete life cycle of a hire, tracking how a vague realization that you need help transforms into a fully equipped, newly hired employee sitting right there in your office. To make this blueprint highly actionable, we are breaking the recruitment process into 5 core phases. Phase 1 is the hiring request. Phase 2 covers sourcing and screening. Phase 3 is interviews and assessments. Phase 4 tackles offer and negotiation. And Phase 5 wraps it up with preboarding to joining day. All right, let's jump right into Phase 1, the hiring request. Our pipeline begins with a single empty desk. This is that exact moment a team realizes they have a gap to fill. But, you can't just start interviewing people on a whim. We kick things off with a piece of vital HR jargon called the Manpower Requisition. Simply put, it's the formal internal request used to officially initiate the hiring process for a role. Think of it as your ultimate safeguard. It literally prevents a manager from going rogue and hiring someone without the actual budget to pay them at the end of the month. It's the official green light that ensures the company actually has both the financial runway and the structural need to support a brand new position. Here is what that actually looks like in practice. Notice the mandatory fields required here. You've got the specific department, the exact role title, and crucially, the budget approval signatures. Getting this in writing is what aligns your finance department with human resources. If a manager says they desperately need a senior developer, but finance only approved the salary for a summer intern, this form forces that critical conversation to happen right now before you waste hours interviewing the wrong tier of talent. This single form sets a foundational boundaries for the entire process. Once that requisition is fully approved, we move rapidly through job analysis. This is where you look incredibly closely at the role to understand its true everyday requirements. Like, what will this person actually be doing on a random Tuesday afternoon? If you realize a role actually requires 80% isolated spreadsheet work instead of collaborative, creative brainstorming, well, that fundamental truth will completely change who you look for. The deep insights you gather during this honest analysis directly feed into the second step, crafting the official job description. And here is where the rubber meets the road. Take a look at a good job description side by side with a bad one. The bad one is usually this vague wish list. You know the ones, looking for a marketing rock star or a coding ninja without actually explaining the job at all. It's generic and honestly entirely uninspiring. Then look at the good one. It's highly specific. It outlines exact daily responsibilities, and it's genuinely engaging to read. This just proves that how you pitch the role can completely make or break the rest of your pipeline. Write a generic, thoughtless description, and you are absolutely going to get generic, unqualified candidates. The job description is your first and arguably best marketing tool to attract top-tier talent. Which brings us to Phase 2, sourcing and screening. So the prep work is done, and it's time to go out into the market to actually look for our future employee. This stage is all about casting a massive net through strategic sourcing. We're talking about leveraging job boards, networking events, and direct outreach to find both active candidates and passive candidates. Those highly skilled people who might not even know they're looking for a new job until you tap them on the shoulder. Once that wide net brings in a mountain of applications, you have to diligently filter your candidates through the next operational stage, resume screening. Now, when screening, you must objectively match an applicant's resume against strict criteria. By mapping a candidate's actual qualifications directly against the mandatory job requirements we defined back in Phase 1, you keep the entire process fiercely focused on data, rather than just getting swayed by a pretty layout or a recognizable university name. If the job analysis required 5 years of Python experience, this is the stage where you ruthlessly filter out anyone with only 2. This disciplined approach ensures that only the truly viable candidates make it to the hiring manager. And that leads us into Phase 3, interviews and assessments. Our candidate has survived the initial filter, bringing us to the most intensive phase of the journey,
This is where the theoretical candidate becomes a real, breathing person sitting right in front of you. Step 1 is interview scheduling, which, let's be honest, is often a deeply frustrating game of calendar Tetris trying to get 3 busy managers in the same room. From there, we move efficiently into Step 2, targeted assessments that test the candidate's actual hard skills under pressure. Finally, we reach Step 3, the interviews themselves. This is where you dig beyond the resume to evaluate critical thinking, problem solving under stress, and of course, fundamental culture fit.
But we need to remove human bias from those conversations. We're all human, right? An interviewer might like a candidate simply because they share a favorite sports team. That's why an interview feedback form paired with a candidate evaluation scorecard is a game changer. It transforms abstract gut feelings into a tangible grading rubric. By forcing interviewers to rate candidates on specific predefined competencies, like communication clarity or technical troubleshooting, you ensure every single applicant is judged on the exact same scale. This makes your eventual hiring decision incredibly data-driven and far more defensible to senior leadership. Moving right along to Phase 4, offer and negotiation. The scores are tallied, the winner is clear, and the team comes together to finalize the hiring decision. You found the perfect match. But the deal isn't closed just yet. This moves straight into the critical offer rollout, which triggers the delicate dance of salary negotiation. Now, this step is incredibly sensitive. In fact, it is exactly where most deals completely fall apart if expectations aren't aligned up front. Both the company and the candidate have to work transparently here to align their bottom-line requirements regarding compensation, remote work flexibility, benefits, and acceptable start dates. Looking at a standard offer letter structure, you can see exactly how those verbal negotiations are legally formalized on paper. It highlights the non-negotiable standard terms of employment right alongside the highly specific, individually negotiated compensation package. Everything you discussed over the phone, the signing bonus, the exact base salary, the equity vesting schedule, it all must be meticulously documented here. Getting this final document perfectly accurate is absolutely paramount. It's the foundation for starting the employer-employee relationship on the right foot, based on complete transparency and mutual trust. Finally, Phase 5, preboarding to joining day. They signed. But hold on, the recruitment process doesn't end with a signature. It ends when they are fully integrated into the team. Before the welcome celebration begins, you absolutely must run through the background verification checklist. This lists all the necessary checks to complete before the candidate officially steps through the door, from verifying past employment history to checking criminal records, depending on the security level of the role. You have to ensure complete operational compliance and organizational security before ever granting a new hire access to your company's internal systems. You literally can't skip this. And here is the final countdown that brings all these operational stages to a close. Tracking from the 2 weeks out mark where we're dealing with background verification, we move directly into a 1-week preboarding sprint. Preboarding is where you proactively send them their laptop, share team welcome videos, and keep the candidate deeply engaged so they don't get cold feet. All of this intense preparation culminates in day 1, joining day. This is the moment our new hire finally walks in and sits at that exact same desk we talked about being empty at the very beginning of this whole process. So what does this all mean for you? Building a highly capable team should never, ever be a guessing game. It's a structured, strategic process that requires discipline at every single stage. So I'll leave you with this. Will you leave your next crucial hire to gut feelings and chance, or will you implement this strategic blueprint today? The choice is entirely yours. Thanks for joining me on this explainer.